Page 24, Don't Stop Believin. 4/4 time. Got one sharp in the key signature. We're in the key of G major. Make sure you can do the scale for G major, at least one octave up and down. It wouldn't hurt you to go ahead and do the scale for the relative minor also. The scale, the minor scale that has one sharp in it, and in that case, in here, it is E minor is one sharp. So you can go ahead and just learn E minor scale too while you're there. I like to do, when I do the scales, I like to cover everything for one key signature. So that's major and minor for one key signature. This has got one sharp, we'll do G major and E minor. Alright, this has some interesting rhythms in it. Let's just be careful. Right hand first, you're starting up here. So 4 and 1 and 2 and. I'm playing on the ands, and that's tight. You know, hang it down, hang on to it, and then next measure 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now this piece, if you want to, you can do a 1 2 1 2 on those, so you're not using the same finger, or you can do a 2 1 2 1. And this is a lot of places, so wherever you get it, I tend to do a 1 2 1 2 just out of habit. And then measure 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. You get this syncopation a lot in this piece. So measure 7, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right. Measure 9, eighth notes. You're here 1 2. Measure 10, 1 and 2 and. Make sure it's on the end of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. The measure 13. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, this syncopation is all over the place. Let's go down to the third line there on measure 19. You're 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and now during the rest you come up one key. So it's 3 and 4 and measure 20. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then reach down, third finger. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The measure 23, 1 and 2 and it's the same rhythm we've had, just now 2 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Last line, measure 25. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. A lot of interesting rhythm in there. And the left hand has its own rhythm. Oh boy, can't wait for that. G chord at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, rest. It's like a 5/7, we're just not using the C. 1, 2, 3. Come down. Both notes come down. Just there's other ways to finger it. I won't bother. Just go ahead. That's fine. 3, rest, and come back up. Go down to measure 7. It's the same rhythm as the right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the eighth notes. Again, thumb again. And then you're going to repeat back up. Go down to measure 10. During the rest at measure 9, you're coming down here. And now at measure 10. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. I think we can handle that, I hope. Put the hands together. Let's see what happens. This should be interesting. At the beginning, I know I'm going a little fast. You can take it your speed. I'm just giving you an idea how these rhythms and fingering works. 3. And as I play the B, the left hand comes up. Right there. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2, 3 and. Remember, there's a rest in the left hand on measure 3. The last beat, so it's 1, 2, 3. So that's that last 2 eighth notes, G's, are by themselves. 1 and 2 and. fourth. Go down to measure 10 here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now there's no rest here. You're going to hold it down. Now I tend, you can do this. I tend to just out of habit on measure 13. I tend to just use the 2, 3 out of habit because I connect the notes. And I come off. I just do that. Third fingering is fine if you want to do that. That's great. It's like I say, don't finger it like I'm doing it. Finger it as I'm explaining it type thing. I have a habit of fingering things, and sometimes I use a more advanced fingering out of habit, and I found it very difficult to change that. So, fingering in the book is fine here. Measure 13. Rest. 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2. 1, 2 and. All right, here we go. Measure 18. You got regular quarter notes in one hand keeping the beat. This is your drum. So you can see it comes in between the beats because you can see how they line up in the music. 1, 2. This rhythm, this is the same as what we've been doing before, except now you've got the beats to do that. You could have done that over on the other page, on this other thing. Let's look at right at the beginning. I could play all quarter notes in the left hand if it would help. Just to get the beat, to get the feeling of that. Of course, then you're doing different things in the hand, and maybe that makes it harder for you. Some people it helps, and some people it not so much. I don't know which way you're going there, so whatever. But over here on measure 18 and on, you need to do it here. So you work it out. Get that working, then get rid of the wrong notes and get rid of the hesitations. It needs to be a steady beat. And then we can go back. There's no real articulation to speak of. They give a few slurs and I suggest you pretty much just connect everything as best you can, except for the rests. And after you get into it, if you want to add a few staccatos here and there, fine. One thing I suggest, though, is pieces, not just this piece, any piece, but take a look at measure 17, going into measure 18. You're here. I don't like, how do I say it? One thing leads into another, and when that happens, I want to connect it to what it's leading into. This leads into that. So I want to connect that. Even though it's slurred like that, I'm still going to connect it. So it's like the slur just goes over another note there. So I don't suggest you disconnect it. And that's pretty much on any piece anywhere. It's like on measure 8 in the left hand, you're going to go back to the top. I would connect that if I can. It's kind of hard to do, go from here to here. It's good practice. But I would connect all that. I wouldn't separate it. No. Now dynamic, again, they don't really give you much on dynamics. You're sort of loud at the beginning and you're loud on measure 10. Get to know the piece, and you're not going to stay exactly at those. It's just it's kind of a happy piece again. Oh, okay. And you're playing it out a little bit. Don't get really loud, but and that's the right hand. That's the melody. You keep the left hand in the background. You have a crescendo on measure 9 going into it. There's not a lot of difference between moderately loud and loud. I mean, you can come down a little bit and go up. But it needs to be louder than it was at the beginning. It just doesn't need to be a lot louder. Speed-wise, well, somewhere in the middle. What do you feel? You can probably find recordings of it. I'm not sure, or not this arrangement. Okay. So I leave that up to you on how fast. to me, that's kind of a 1, 2. It's the feel of it. It's not the beat. Then they've added pedal. Well, isn't that nice? You don't need pedal on this piece. You play it just fine without it. But they've added it in a couple locations, and I certainly wouldn't use it anywhere else here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal, and I'll lift the pedal with the hand or hands, depending on where it is, with it. And that's really pretty much the pedal. That's all it is. I'd like to play it with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I will do the repeat. We'll do the first and second ending. I'll give us 4 counts, and I'll go ahead and show the pedal here, but as little as they use it. Okay. Let's just try it really, really slowly together. 1, 2, ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and repeat 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2.